Hi, welcome back for today's movie recap. Today, we will recap the movie, Zhongyi. In the 22nd century, the Earth became inhabitable due to the rapid climate change that caused the sea level to rise. The humans were forced to migrate to space and live in the 80 or so shelters built between Earth and the Moon's orbital planes. As the humans settled down, 3 of the shelters, Shelters 8, 12, and 13, declared themselves the Adrian Republic. They attacked Earth and other shelters and engaged in a civil war against the Allied forces. Meanwhile, there were still humans left on Earth who produced munitions. Captain Yoon Zhongyi woke up after losing consciousness to see robots approaching. She immediately grabbed a gun and shot at the robots before running to hide. She exchanged gunfire with the robots and reloaded her gun afterward. She received a radio call asking how her team was doing, and she answered that everyone besides her had died. After confirming that she had reached the fuel rod, another batch of robots called Zimbo attacked her. Zhongyi shot a fat pipe filled with gasoline and fired at a Zimbo once it got drenched with gasoline. The Zimbo was set on fire, but it just extinguished the fire and chased after Zhongyi, who ran away. Zhongyi hid on top of the roof, but the Zimbo saw her through the ceiling and gunned her down. Zhongyi slid down, and the Zimbo was trapped under debris. Zhongyi used this as a chance to shoot the Zimbo's rear, where the E-battery is, but she got distracted and got shot by the Zimbo. Her fingers, which are revealed to be robot fingers, got cut off, and she suddenly froze up. Then her surroundings changed into a large room at Chronoid, a company that develops AI technologies, and a group of researchers entered the room. It turns out that Zhongyi is actually an AI called Zhongyi that the researchers have been developing to win the war against the Adrian Republic. They checked the AI, which failed yet again, and Sohyun, the team leader, decided to call it a day as there were important guests coming. The other researchers told Zhongyi to follow them out of the room. The researchers led Zhongyi inside an elevator for robots, which took off Zhongyi's body armor. The important guests arrived, and the director of Chronoid, Kim Sang-hoon, accommodated the guests and showed them a video introducing Zhongyi isn't just a typical AI, as she was developed using the cloned brain of the best soldier Korea ever had, Yoon Zhongyi, captain of Team 45, which led countless successful missions. But Zhongyi got put into a coma when she lost the mission that was supposed to end the war if her team won. Chronoid persuaded Zhongyi's family to agree to clone her brain so they could develop an AI soldier with skills as great as the human Zhongyi had but more enhanced. After the video, Sang-hoon introduced team leader Sohyun to the guests. Sohyun is Zhongyi's daughter, who had a lung tumor. The reason Zhongyi became a soldier in the first place was to earn money to pay for her daughter's treatments. When she went into a coma and got her brain cloned, Chronoid paid for Sohyun's treatments, education, and living expenses. 35 years later, in 2194, Sohyun became the team leader of the research project Yoongi. They copied all of Zhongyi's brain data and put it in a robotic body. Sohyun then further explained Project Zhongyi. After collecting Zhongyi's brain data, they made Zhongyi go through simulations to develop her into an AI with unmatched performance. The guests, leaders of the Allied forces, didn't seem to like Project Zhongyi. One of them asked if Zhongyi had completed the last simulation successfully, and when they learned that the last simulation was a failure, they started questioning Zhongyi's competence. They think that it was pointless to model a combat AI after Zhongyi since she failed the mission that could have ended the war years ago if not for her. Sohyun explained that she wanted to memorialize her mother as a hero and reclaim her lost glory as an Allied forces hero. After the Allied forces visit, Sohyun went to the director's office and stared at her mother's picture. Sang-hoon entered his office and informed Sohyun that the Project Zhongyi had been given the green light. After her short talk with Sang-hoon, Sohyun went to the control room beside the room Zhongyi's half-body was in. Jae-kyung activated the robot, and Zhongyi woke up, screaming in pain and in panic when she saw what her body looked like. Sohyun decreased the pain level using the brain map sensory control and increased Zhongyi's will to fight. But Zhongyi was still unresponsive, so Sohyun deactivated her and ordered Jae-kyung to destroy Zhongyi's brain as it was unable to process. As they left the office, Jae-kyung talked about how much he admired Zhongyi when he was young. Sohyun explained to Jae-kyung that she was the real reason why her mother became a soldier. Sohyun would always wonder if her mother ever regretted sacrificing her life to save her daughter and if Zhongyi resented her for it. Then Jae-kyung told her that she could still ask her mother everything she wanted to ask during the processing or after the simulation, as Zhongyi still had her mother's brain data. Sohyun seemed interested but kept quiet as she told Jae-kyung to finish up the report on the 17th Zhongyi's processing. Sohyun left Chronoid to go to her ethics test. She rode the train and looked out the window, observing the state the Earth was in. She saw a mother talking to her daughter and overheard the child crying as her mother was going to leave her with her aunt for a while. Sohyun remembered the last time she saw her mother. Young Sohyun was getting ready for her surgery when Jong-yi told her about another mission she had to go on. Young Sohyun made her mother promise to come back quickly, and Jong-yi did. Unbeknownst to them, that would be the last time young Sohyun would see her perfectly alive mother. Back to the present, Sohyun had her ethics test and talked to the doctor afterwards. The doctor informed her that her previous cancer had metastasized from the location where she previously had surgery and had spread to her major organs. Sohyun only had 3 months left to live, so the doctor suggested she copy her brain and transfer it over to a prosthetic body, which is the Type A procedure of duplicating one's brain. There are 3 types of this procedure. Type A is when the brain data gets copied and transferred to a single robotic body, but the person still has full control over her mind. Type B is like Type A, but the government would have access to the mind, allowing them to control the person who chooses this procedure. Type C is when a person who chooses this procedure surrenders ownership of their brain data and gets cloned. Type C would give immortality, but whoever chooses this wouldn't be treated like an individual anymore. It is exactly like Jong-yi, who got cloned as a combat AI because she signed a contract with Chronoid and chose the Type C procedure. Sohyun decided not to choose yet and asked to see the comatose Jong-yi. Sohyun was tearing up as she looked at her unconscious, elderly mother. Back in Chronoid, the 18th Chronoid was already finished, so they took her to the simulation room again to repeat the same simulation, which was the last mission that Jong-yi failed. But Sang-hoon told them to try something different, which is to shoot 18th Jong-yi through the leg before they start the simulation because doing the same simulation again will only slow them down. The researchers then shot Jong-yi's leg and started the simulation. Jong-yi woke up screaming in pain, and Sang-hoon told one of the researchers to color the pain area in the brain red. Sohyun watched with teary eyes as Jong-yi struggled to fight against the robots. The researcher stated that the pain level was increasing, and it seemed like 18th Jong-yi was yet another failure, but before they could deactivate her, they saw that the level of an unidentified area in the brain was increasing, winning over the pain. Jong-yi, who was struggling against the robots, went silent for a while before suddenly attacking the robot again, this time winning against the robots. But then Jong-yi got shot in the head, and Sang-hoon was dismayed to see that. He then told the researcher to color the unidentified area yellow before leaving, hoping that the 18th Jong-yi would work at the HQ briefing the day after. The next day, they went to Chronoid headquarters, where they met the managing director, Lee Se-yeon, the new head of Chronoid's product development department. Sang-hoon was frustrated when Se-yeon told them that she was tasked with seeing the presentation because the chairman wasn't able to do it himself. Back in the train to return to the Chronoid laboratory, Sang-hoon dripped eye drops on his eye for dramatic effect as he complained about the weapon's development being downsized. Once they reached the Chronoid lab, Sang-hoon saw the newly created robot head and asked Sohyun to go with him to the chairman's office. Excited to show the latter the robot head, they entered the chairman's office, but Sang-hoon, who turned out to be the chairman's robot when he first began brain replication, suddenly froze, and the chairman came out of hiding. Sohyun eagerly told the chairman that Project Jong-yi was so close to being completed but was stunned, and the chairman told her that the creation of Jong-yi was not necessary anymore as the civil war was already coming to an end due to a treaty between the Adrian Republic and the Allied forces. Sohyun asked the chairman to let her continue the Jong-yi project, but the chairman refused. Another simulation was occurring, and Sang-hoon was getting angry that Jong-yi was still not completed. Sang-hoon ordered the researchers to suspend motor functions. With Jong-yi awake, Sang-hoon told the researcher to cut off her arm, and Jong-yi screamed as she got her arm cut off. Sang-hoon asked if the unidentified area was activated and got angry when he learned that the pain level had just increased before entering the room Jong-yi was in and repeatedly shooting her. Then he ordered the researchers to turn on Jong-yi again, but she wasn't working anymore. Hearing that, he threatened Sohyun to turn it back on, but Sohyun only stared back at him until another researcher entered the room to tell Sang-hoon that the chairman was requesting for him at the HQ. Sohyun dismissed everyone and went to the simulation room, where she suddenly felt a pain in her chest. She held the pain in and checked Jong-yi's brain replication data management and saw that Jae-kyung had exported Jong-yi 22's data. So she barged into Jae-kyung's room and stopped in her tracks when she found Jong-yi wearing a skimpy bikini. She then covered Jong-yi's body and strangled Jae-kyung, who admitted that he was just ordered to test Jong-yi for product development as Chronoid HQ thinks there's value in exploring a product with a sexual application. Sohyun went to the control room where she found Sang-hoon, who was crestfallen after learning that the Jong-yi they spent so much time on was going to be used in a different way. Sohyun went to a smaller control room and secretly turned on Jong-yi, telling the AI that she was going to die any moment. Then she saw the unidentified area increasing, and AI Jong-yi asked her if her daughter's surgery went well, thinking that it was still the day she left her daughter. So-hyun cried as she told Jong-yi that So-hyun is much better now. Then AI Jong-yi told her that So-hyun gave her a doll keychain as a gift right before her last mission, and she lost it during the fight against the Zimbo. That is why she got distracted when she found it again, which resulted in her failure. AI Jong-yi was deactivated, and So-hyun wept after hearing what happened. The next day, Jong-yi was taken to the simulation room for the final simulation. So-hyun set Jong-yi up and deleted the unidentified area. Then she whispered at AI Jong-yi about everything that had happened since she failed the last mission. The final simulation began, and the result was still the same as before. Jae-kyung told Sang-hoon that the results are odd as the brain responded weaker than it did before. But Sang-hoon dismissed him, having lost hope for AI Jong-yi. He left the room, but when he realized something, he went back to the room and asked to replay the video of the result. There she saw that the simulation was actually a success and that the bullet missed Jong's head. But for some reason, Jong-yi pretended to be shot and stayed on the ground. They sounded the alarm, and AI Jong-yi suddenly attacked the confused researchers behind her. On the other hand, So-hyun deleted the original data of Yoon Jong-yi before leaving. Jong-yi entered a room where she found countless Jong-yi robots. When the combat AI entered the room, Jong-yi hid among the other Jong-yi as the combat AI searched for her. One of the combat AIs noticed her, and she fought against all of them. She was strangled by the last one and was losing air until So-hyun arrived and deactivated the combat AI. She then talked to Jong-yi, reminding her of her voice. The police robots arrived and eliminated Jong-yi as soon as they saw her. An injured So-hyun was escorted outside by a combat AI, and once they left the room, the police robots discovered that Jong-yi's body was a fake, and So-hyun replaced Jong-yi's head with the combat AI's head so they could make their escape. So-hyun and Jong-yi used the train to escape from Chronoid Lab, where they were met by Sang-hoon, who had been waiting for them inside the train. Sensing that he was dangerous, AI Jong-yi moved to attack him but stopped when Sang-hoon threatened to kill his daughter. So-hyun then informed Sang-hoon that she had already deleted Jong-yi's data, which means that all data about So-hyun had been erased too. It was because she wanted Jong-yi to run away and have a fresh start. Sang-hoon then shot So-hyun, and Jong-yi attacked him. After getting kicked away, Sang-hoon's face got scraped and he discovered that he was just a robot. Crazed Sang-hoon didn't care, as he used this to fight against Jong-yi. The police robots have also followed and begun shooting at the train. When they detected that there was a civilian inside the train, they stopped shooting and jumped towards it. Jong-yi single-handedly defeated the police robots and went back to fighting Sang-hoon again. The already damaged train hit another upcoming train and got bent, causing Jong-yi to slide down. So-hyun fired a line gun to help Jong-yi up as Sang-hoon kept on firing at them until he fell with the broken train car. So-hyun, who was in the other train car, helped Jong-yi inside. Jong-yi aided the injured So-hyun, but when they heard the sound of a police siren, So-hyun told Jong-yi to escape and leave her. Jong-yi hugged So-hyun one last time and moved her head around just like Yoon Jong-yi would always do to young So-hyun. After their hug, Jong-yi left, and So-hyun wished her mother the best of luck. Meanwhile, Jong-yi went down into the ruined lands of Earth and stood on top of a cliff, looking over the mountains.